Here are 6 reasons why a constitutional convention is a terrible idea. Number 1. Article 5 does not lay out the process for a convention. It provides 2 methods to propose amendments to the Constitution, either by 2/3 of each chamber of Congress or by a convention called by Congress at the request of 2/3 of the states. The last time we had a convention to amend our Constitution was the Philadelphia Convention of 1787. Delegates from 12 of the 13 states gathered for the express purpose of revising the existing Constitution, the Articles of Confederation. Many of the delegates admitted they did not follow the authority of their state commissions. The delegates concluded they were accountable to the people, not the state legislatures, thereby justifying disobeying their commissions and limitations. In light of this, there is no guarantee that history will not repeat itself at a so-called Convention of the States, and why supposed faithful delegate bills are meaningless and misleading. Number 2. If America wants to rein in Congress, how is a convention that is organized by Congress going to fix the problem? Once applications are submitted by 2/3 of the states, the role of the state legislatures is done. It's Congress that lays the ground rules going into the convention. Assuming the convention delegates restrain themselves to only proposing amendments, Congress can choose to have special conventions in 3/4 of the states to ratify the proposed amendments, thus entirely removing the state legislatures from the ratification process. Number 3. The purpose of Article 5 is to correct errors or defects in the Constitution. Can you specify any errors within the Constitution? It's not the Constitution that is the problem, it's our elected officials' lack of adherence to it that is the problem. If Congress is at fault, then focus on fixing Congress by electing new lawmakers who will actually enforce the Constitution as written rather than usurp it. Number 4. We don't yet know who the delegates would be. That's as risky as going to court and not knowing who your lawyer will be. If your state legislature applies to Congress to call a convention and don't know who the delegates will be, do you really want Congress determining how the delegates will be selected? Suppose state legislatures appoint the delegates. First, nothing in Article 5 guarantees that. Second, if it was, do you really trust state legislators to represent you at a convention? Here's a tweet from constitutionalist Congressman Thomas Massie to put this into perspective. I think an Article 5 convention is a bad idea and could be disastrous for our country. How many state legislatures stood up to the illegal and unconstitutional acts of their governors during COVID? Number 5. An Article 5 convention will not be controlled by constitutionalist conservatives. History has proven the left is eager to advance and solidify their agenda. If the legislatures pick the delegates, and that's a big if, what kind of delegates is your state most likely to send? Constitutionalist conservatives or moderate rhinos and liberals? Again, Congressman Massie also tweeted this. Show me a single state where constitutionalists comprise a majority of the state legislature. At this point in history, an Article 5 convention of the states would be a disaster. Why give rhinos and the left a seat at the table to discuss ways to alter our Constitution and Republican form of government? Number 6. Special interests would dominate the convention. Regardless of how the delegates are chosen and who they are, ask yourself the following. Are we living in an age of statesmanship, or will the delegates be bought by powerful interests like the United Nations, China, or other wealthy elites? Would this be a publicly viewed event, or would it be a closed-door session just like in 1787? We may not know what they come up with until it is done, and with a nation as deeply divided as ours, is there really anything we could agree on that would actually limit the powers of Congress better than what the founders gave us in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution? A Constitution is only as good as its enforcement. Educate yourself on how to talk to your state legislator so we can preserve and save our Constitution from revision. Learn more about Article 5 and the amendment process by visiting jbs.org.